everybody, and welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast. I'm your host, Charli Matthews. I'm so excited about today. I have been looking forward to this interview since the moment that I met her. So without further delay, Hannah, jump on here and introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi everyone. Hi Charli. So I'm Hannah Verrall, and I'm product line manager for seal-less pumps at Sundyne. Charli, do you want me to kind of go into a bit more detail about my background, or
Absolutely. Well,
have
I
you
want
got kind of some designated questions for that?
yeah. I want to know, of course, we want to know, and we'll dive into each part of that. But I really want to know, like, how did you get started in the industry?
Okay. Good question. So going way back, I did an engineering undergraduate and master's degree at Cardiff University, which is in Wales in the UK. So I guess my plan was always to end up in a technical field. So after I finished my master's, I ended up working in project engineering for an HVAC manufacturer in the UK for a couple of years, and then joined Sundyne, really just to kind of diversify into pumps and rotating equipment, and also kind of learn more about different industries, and also kind of just branch my role into more kind of commercial areas as well as technical.
Well, I'm curious about engineering, right? It's not a
Okay.
traditional field for women most of the time. And I'm curious, is there anybody like in your family that drove you in that direction? Like, why did you choose engineering?
My dad is actually in software engineering, so I guess kind of related, although pretty different to mechanical. It was actually, and I've kind of said this story a few times now. It was one of my mum's friends when I was about 14, 15. So choosing my A levels, which kind of dictate what you can go into in terms of university courses in the UK. And my friend drove a really nice BMW car. And I said to my mum, what does Michelle do? And she said, oh, she's an engineer with the company that I work for. And I was like, okay, what do I need to do engineering then? So it was maths and physics, and just kind of had my sights set on doing an engineering degree. So
Yeah, and it is a great career path,
mm,
highly needed, wanted, and we love that there are women. I said not traditionally, but there are tons of women in engineering,
yeah,
and so I love that. And I think that we don't really know our path, right? We kind of it's influenced by the people that we're around. So that's a great story of success, right? You saw her as
yeah,
successful and you wanted to be successful.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, okay, so engineering, and you did make it to mechanical engineering, but then
yeah.
you picked kind of application engineering. Can you tell us a little
Okay.
bit about that?
So with applications, I guess what you're effectively doing is problem solving. So you're taking kind of a customer requirement for your specific product, and you're using your technical and product expertise to then kind of put a proposal together that meets the customer's requirements. But then there's a lot of other things to consider in terms of like cost and how else can we be kind of optimize what we're offering technically and commercially. And also kind of just considering what we can do from like a manufacturing perspective as well. So it's kind of merging and combining the technical aspects with the commercial, which is something I particularly like doing.
Yeah, and I think about Sundyne, and like you have so many different industries that you touch, and so
Mm-hmm.
studying that the different applications has to be like a greater part of that, just because of the diversity of the portfolio over there. And then I guess like looking to the future as well, right?
Absolutely. So, like in my current role, so you kind of touched on applications engineering. So that's like the first role that I had within Sundyne about 12 years ago was when I started. And then kind of after several years in that role, I then moved across into aftermarket management. And then both that applications role and the aftermarket role really set me up very nicely for my current role, which is product line management. So as in product management, I'm effectively overseeing our product development roadmap. So I work closely with both the operations team at the factories and then also our global sales network to position our products for growth in those kind of key industries that you mentioned. And then also kind of we're looking ahead at more emerging and high growth market segments as well. So there's a lot of exciting stuff kind of going on in renewables with kind of SAF and renewable diesel, and then also kind of hydrogen. And then other areas as well, like battery manufacturing as well, where our products kind of have a good fit for.
Yeah.
So I'm really kind of looking at all of those and then determining what we can do to kind of optimize our position to grow in those areas as well.
Right. So understanding kind of the engineering of the pump designs and how they fit into each application. And then are you set on one particular product line now, or are you kind of in multiple areas?
So it's one type of product. So I have counterparts within Sundyne who are product managers for their respective product groups. So on the compression side and also on the mechanical sealed pump side. So my remit is sealless pumps. So we have two product lines. So HMD Contro and Ansi-Mag are the brands. Which cover our sealless centrifugal pump products. So I kind of oversee those. So I'm the sealless pump manager.
Guru. Yeah, she's the guru
Yes.
over there. I love it. And that is kind of what attracted me to you when we were at the TPS, right? And we're talking, and I just see Sundyne. I've always seen Sundyne there. And like since I was in my 20s. And I love that. So I always stop by. But being able to meet you there and know kind of that you are driving that forward, both thinking ahead on what can we do with carbon for sure. I mean, not carbon, but hydrogen, which is all plays in there together, right? Of sustainability. And so that was wonderful to meet you there and to see that somebody is focused on that, because I think with our industry, we do have to look ahead. We have to solve the problems for today, but we also have to look ahead and make sure that we can, in your case, manufacture the things that are needed, right? So I really love that. And I also, I'm really excited. So y'all, I don't know if you've noticed, but I did a little different branding here on the background for colors and everything, because we are doing EPIC now, which is the Empowering Pumps and Industry Conference, which is bringing these emerging leaders, seasoned professionals together to have a conversation, to innovate. And so we're working with the Colorado School of Mines this year for Innovate X. And this is where one of our customers presents a problem to a student group, and they try to solve it and come up with all these different ideas, which I think is phenomenal. So Sundyne has said yes to that, and I think what that does is say that they're invested in the future of working with young professionals, bringing them up. And so I just wanted to kind of hear from you. What is it like to kind of develop talent? Because I know that when you're in there and you're looking at all this, you're also recruiting people and creating that culture and everything there. So just what comes up for you around that?
So I really enjoy and get a lot out of working with newer talent and maybe less experienced members of staff kind of across the organization. I really get a lot out of seeing them grow professionally and develop in areas which ultimately kind of helps the wider team and the business as a whole. Also kind of just getting the different perspectives on how to approach things is kind of really important, particularly kind of when you're trying to kind of problem solve and find a solution to something. And then kind of also on that point, I really am interested in kind of learning what different strengths people have and what they can bring to the table, and then really leveraging those to maximize like the potential of just getting the best outcome to a problem.
About that and your kind of love for problem solving. And I think that all the
Mm.
engineers out there can relate to you in that, is that, that's the fun part, right? Like, okay, give me the problem to solve. But we often, need that collaboration with the team, and especially like looking at growth and how we innovate across teams, right? You've come from application engineering and keep going up kind of in that knowledge there at Sundyne. So who knows what's next, but we definitely know that collaboration and part of a team and bringing up, talent within our organization is key, because you're an example of that, right?
100%, 100%. And I've kind of benefited from that kind of mindset and just having really good mentors and people kind of seeing, okay, what my strengths are, also what my weaknesses are, and then kind of laying out lots of opportunities so that I can then develop and kind of get to where I am. And I'm kind of keen to make sure that I'm replicating that with
Yeah.
with the people that are coming in,
Yeah, and I
to
did
the
see in your
organization.
bio that you were passionate about bringing in female talent as well. I think
Mm.
you're an example of that. So that it's natural. Like, you're a role model, whether you want to be or not, but you do, and you have, taken on that responsibility. And so I love that. Do you see any challenges or anything? And I didn't prep you for this question. So
Okay.
like, preference, I know that you might need a moment. But as far as bringing up the next generation, do you see any challenges or even the opportunities that are there for people?
What for? So you mean specifically kind of encouraging people to get into engineering in the first place?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I know I can kind of speak from um like the perspective of being in the United Kingdom, which is obviously where I live. There's definitely kind of this perception that engineering is not necessarily a very glamorous or um, financially rewarding area to get into. I think generally not a lot of youngsters really understand what engineering is. Um, and kind of when you look around and you really consider like everything that's going on around you, from like roads, like rivers, like obviously mechanical equipment, software, electric, everything has been engineered. Um, and I think it's really just connecting the dots with that mindset, and then also how young people perceive it, because really to kind of get into the engineering field, I mean, there's lots of different avenues to get into it, but really you need to have kind of a technical background, maybe go through a certain academic route, choose certain subjects. And that doesn't always happen routinely with people that might end up having a really rewarding career in engineering. So from what I'm seeing in the UK, and I'm sure this is the case across the globe as well, is people kind of cutting off that career path quite early on in their journey. So I think it's about just kind of giving engineering as a career more exposure to the right demographics, and that's doing things like going into schools and just talking about what we do in the workplace, what we're working on, what exciting opportunities there are in all of these avenues, because it's not just mechanical and pumps and rotating equipment, even though that's what I'm really interested in right now. But I think, yeah, there's a massive opportunity to kind of break down those obstacles and try
Absolutely.
and kind of lay the path for the next generation to come through.
Yeah, and I think it is about showing up, right? We've talked about that a lot on here, like showing up, right? So with you, you're going to inspire women, girls for sure, but also anyone, right? That you say, like, let me tell you about my career here. And it's going to kind of have those light bulbs that go off that say, okay, well, Yeah, I can have a successful career in this. There are so many different avenues. Maybe
Mhm.
water interests you, maybe mining, geology, things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. My daughter, of course, I've talked about this on here too. She loves the geology aspects, and we're like, where's a geologist I can put in front of her, right? Like that is
yeah,
what
yeah.
I want her to see on a regular. So thank you for doing that, and I know your company supports that too. I want to know. When you like, do you still get jazzed up about pumps? I heard a little bit about that in, what you were saying. I'm guilty. I love a plant tour, but you're in it every day. So,
Yeah. I think like it's not the actual pump itself, although kind of when you really understand the mechanics behind it and kind of how it's designed to give it its unique kind of like offering or solution that it provides, then that's quite exciting. Like I think that's just kind of there by nature of just kind of having an engineering background and kind of going through that training. But it's more on the applications. It's like learning, okay, well, where are the pumps used and what makes them kind of particularly well suited to certain applications or environments. And then what those, like the pumps themselves, like the equipment, can do to kind of help with things like health and safety, um, uh, energy efficiency. I mean, there's obviously a lot of attention on things like carbon footprint and energy emissions. Also, just reliability, and just being sustainable with your products, with your equipment, so that you're not necessarily replacing them every few months or every year when really they should be lasting 15, 20 years, because that's kind of not great from a waste and sustainability standpoint. And really, with the type of products that I oversee, we're kind of addressing a lot of those areas just with the design of it being sealless. There's no kind of escapes or emissions of the product, which is really good if you're pumping something really nasty and hazardous and potentially lethal. And also just making sure that what you're supplying is good from an energy consumption standpoint as well, and is the most sustainable option. So that's what I get quite passionate about. It's not the
yeah,
pumps themselves, although some of the things are pretty cool, but it's more what they can do for users.
absolutely. It's the
Absolutely.
impact.
Yeah.
And, so much comfort that like we have in our lives that you can tie back to the equipment. Like, if it goes down, you're calling somebody, whether it's water, the things vital to life, right? Water, food, energy, the things that we have to have. There is a pump in that line somewhere. And so I love that. Okay. Well, I can't let you go without a little rapid fire, even though I've added a little extra questions onto you because I was just so excited about getting to talk with you today. What is your favorite book?
Okay. Oh, it's a tough one. Oh, it's going to be hard to narrow it down. So I'm reading one at the moment, which is really kind of thought provoking, actually, and it's called The Chimp Paradox. So it's a really good psychology book. So I'd say that's definitely up there. But I think I'm going to give a second answer here, and it's a sci-fi novel by Stephen Baxter called Flood. And that's really cool, actually. It's kind of end of the world scenario and how people are reacting to it, like across the globe, and that's pretty cool. Kind of can't put it down.
Yeah, so because she's
But
getting all these ideas of things that
yeah,
she's gonna implement. That's where it is. She's gonna design
yeah,
something.
maybe, possibly.
Okay, so what about music? You got any favorite jams?
Oh my goodness me! Again, I just love too many different genres. So I really like reggae, reggae music, and then kind of just like house music, dance music, and then also into kind of drum and bass, and then yeah, kind of
All of it.
varies. Some soul, some R&B. Yeah, big mix really.
I love that. Okay, so what? Shifting gears a little bit. What is the best advice that you have ever received? I know it's a big question.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's okay, I'm gonna use this from both like a parenting piece of advice as well as like workplace professional piece of advice, and that's pick your battles. So
Percent.
don't
So
don't
good.
don't get too hung up or um like affected at a personal level by everything. Kind of focus your energy on where it's really important.
Yeah. Now, as we're talking to kind of those early professionals coming in, maybe somebody new changing careers or whatever, coming in to work in the pump industry, what advice would you give them?
I would say don't be affected too much by any setbacks, or if you feel that you've maybe done something wrong, or there's always going to be instances where you're going to learn, continuously learning, um, and you will kind of come across various setbacks and things that maybe you kind of question your abilities or whether you're in the right field, but really I think everyone kind of comes across that at some point, so just kind of carry on, just keep developing, keep looking at where you can kind of get training or mentoring from like other people, and yeah, just kind of keep going.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like anytime that we're outside of our comfort zone, we're going to feel like that. So that's a good thing. That's that growth area. So wonderful. Well, Hannah, I can talk to you all day, but I'll let you have the last word. Just let people know how they can get in touch with you. And I feel like anytime that we can talk about the careers and how we can grow that within our industry is wonderful. But I'll give you the last word.
Okay. Yeah, thanks very much, Charlie. I really enjoyed this interview and just kind of having the opportunity to kind of share some of my thoughts. So yeah, if anyone kind of wants to reach out to me, kind of just drop me a message, ask me any questions, then please feel free to do so. So I'm on LinkedIn, so Hannah Verrall. Charlie, will you be putting my name so
Absolutely. I've
people
got all
can
that
check the
covered.
spelling?
Yeah, all
Yeah,
that
so
covered in
Hannah
the show
Verrall.
notes. We make it easy for them. And
Okay.
yeah, so everybody share this episode. Get to know Hannah and their team there. They're doing some amazing things. And until next time, be empowering.
Thank you. Bye bye.